How about Giancarlo Stanton? We talked about him in yesterday's show, I think. I think we did a whole thing about Stanton, that he is just on fire. And when he gets this way, there's no stopping him. He hit another home run. He now has Yankee records for most home runs in a row. I think 5 postseason games in a row. He's tied for the most home runs in a single postseason. This is in the storied franchise history. We're talking an unprecedented number of home runs, even in a year when the true outcome of walk, strikeout, and home run is the way of baseball. Stanton with 6 home runs and 13 RBIs. Is it true, Coca, that he has more home runs this postseason than he had all of either last season or this season with the Yankees because of all his injuries? Would that be an amazing stat if Stanton in 5 playoff games hit more home runs than he did in all of the 2020 season? I think that may be true. I think it may be true that that's more than he hit in all of 19 because he was out for so long. That may be true as well. Coca's going to tell me right now that he had 7 home runs in the past 2 regular seasons combined. Is that combined? Now, how do you get to 500 home runs in your career if you have 7 home runs in 2 regular seasons? Coca, is that combined? Because that's amazing. That means he's 1 home run away. It is combined. He's 1 home run away from matching his last 2 regular seasons. It goes to show you when he's healthy, it's great. But the Yankees didn't win. The Yankees' backs are against the wall. They're down now 2-1 in a 5-game series. But don't worry, they can bring back Garrett Cole today on 3 days rest. Oh, wait a minute. No, they can't. There's no off day. MLB's scheduling of 5 straight days for the division series has totally screwed the Yankees exactly the way we told you it would screw them. They had to win game 1, which they won with Cole. Cole can only come back in a game 5, but guess what? There may not be a game 5. In 2003, there was a 5-game series between the Marlins and the Giants. Who remembers who started game 1 for the San Francisco Giants? Raise your hand if you're sure. Jason Schmidt. He was really good at that time. Started game 1 and beat us. He was great that year. I don't know what his stats were. I can't remember, but I can just tell you he was a dominant pitcher for the Giants. Saved him for game 5. Philippe Alou did. Coca, do you think there's a chance? I didn't tell you I was going to tell you about this because I didn't think of it during our pre-show. I do not believe that Jason Schmidt started game 4 for the San Francisco Giants when they were down 2-1 because that would have been on short rest. So I believe they saved Jason Schmidt for game 5 of the division series, but there was no game 5 because the Marlins won it in 4. The Yankees don't have a choice but to save Garrett Cole for game 5 because even that'll be on short rest because of no off days. They're forced to go now with Jordan Montgomery to save their season when Stanton is the single most feared pitcher. Jerome Williams started game 4. Yes, he did. We were so happy when they didn't bring back Schmidt on short rest in game 4. I totally remember that. And he lasted like an inning or something. And it was great. And any case, the schedule has really made it so the Yankees have a problem. And it's not great for MLB. It's not the end of the world for the Rays to advance because if the Rays play the Astros, MLB will want the Astros to win. But it would have been far better to have the Yankees play the Astros, obviously, and then far better for either the Yankees or Astros to play the Dodgers in the World Series. That is the ultimate World Series matchup. But in a season where ratings are down for all sports, and we had a whole segment on that earlier this month or this week, it may have been this week even, it'll be who it'll be in this crazy 20. But the Yankees being down 2-1 is in large part because they've got a pitching problem. The Rays are a better team, we told you that, but they have a pitching problem. And it goes back to game 2 when they did the opener with Garcia, then came back with Jay Happ, a subject that's been well covered. What I found very interesting is that Alex Rodriguez, the former Yankee and the never was going to be Met owner, but came close, has he's now a TV analyst announcer he does some ESPN work. He does some Fox work. He does all this work. He absolutely crushed Brian Cashman in the media, gave some comments about Cashman and the decision to go with the opener. And Brian Cashman said something about it that is incredible to me, and it shows the Yankees have a problem and they're in a little bit of a panic. When Brian Cashman was asked about the decision to open with Garcia and then follow with Jay Happ and then have Tanaka in 3 and then have to have Montgomery in 4, his answer is that it was an organizational decision, except Aaron Boone had the final say. Cash. Come on, man. Aaron Boone didn't have the final say. You did not give your manager the final say of whether or not they're going to use an opener strategy in game 2 of the division series against the favored Rays you had lost 7 out of 10 games to in this truncated regular season. Organizational decisions involve the manager sometimes, not always. They involve the owner, the president, the GM, the head of player development. You get together with your top lieutenants and you think about the pros and cons of a decision you're going to make. Guess who has the final decision? One of 2 people only: the owner or the president of baseball operations, who use the president as a go-between. The owner uses the president to try to get the president of baseball ops to do what the owner wants. The president of baseball operations uses the president to get the owner to do what the president of baseball operations wants. The president's in a position to try to figure out what's best and to try to figure out when there's a disagreement, which direction to go. But there is no scenario. Even the story I told you about Josh Beckett pitching in game 6 of the World Series, where Jack McKeon will tell you, and did on a show I did with him, and has always told me, I was starting Josh Beckett no matter what. That's bravado, old school manager talk. Managers can't do that. They cannot start someone just because they want to. They cannot start someone even though the organizational decision is to do something else. It doesn't work that way. The starting pitcher of a game is determined by the organization with the final decision of the owner, president, baseball operations head, period, hard stop. Why would Cashman sell him out? It literally makes no sense to me. I feel like he's getting nervous. I feel like he's worried that he only has a year left on his deal, and maybe he thinks going to the Mets may be smart of him now. Maybe he realizes that not winning a World Series since 2009, though they've had tremendous regular season success, they have a hugely high payroll. They have an owner in George Steinbrenner's son, Hal Steinbrenner, whose view is, we got to win a ring. We got to get to the World Series, and then we got to win a ring. If the Yankees lose in the division series, it is not a slam dunk that the Yankees do not move on from Brian Cashman. He has been a staple, a steadying hand with the New York Yankees organization for decades. Literally. An unprecedented amount of stability in that organization in the front office. But at some point, it's a results business, especially in New York with that payroll. And when Brian Cashman starts blaming the manager or saying the manager has final say, if I'm the owner of that team or the president, I'm thinking, wow, we may have to make some moves here. We may have to make some moves. Will it happen? Wait to see.